Well, hey everybody, this is Wild Dandelion Jen, and you asked, I listened. I had a YouTuber who subscribes to my channel see my promotion for the Conway Community Days in my area where I had a booth, and I had Avocado Seed Jewelry, and she said, hey, did I miss something there? I haven't seen a video about that, so I decided to sit down and show you how I create jewelry from avocado seeds. So basically, what you want to do is you want to get your seed and you want to wash it really well and make sure there's no food matter on it. And then you're going to begin peeling the outer skin. You can do this by hand, you can do it by skimming a knife. What you don't want to do is to cut into the seed itself. You just want to peel that layer off very carefully. That will start oxidizing it, and you do not want to have that on there. So I'm just preparing this, and then it has a natural seam. That's a really big avocado seed, and the typical avocado seed is that big. See the difference? I can make a really beautiful pill box, ring box. I can make jewelry out of that, a spoon, really cute things. So I think I'll put that one away for another day, and I'm going to work with the little one today. So I've washed that up, and I'm just going to go ahead and begin peeling that. And it's relatively easy to peel. And if you want to store up avocado seeds, if you just wash them and put them in a baggie in your fridge, they'll last for weeks and months for future projects. You just want to make sure that you get all the food matter off of it. And even restaurants will save them up if you bring them a bucket. They go through sometimes 50 to 100 of those avocados a day, and they just pitch the seeds, and they'd be happy to save them up for you, and you can pick them up in a couple of days and just clean them up when you get them home. You don't have to peel them, just wash them and put them in a Ziploc. Now there's a natural seam that splits open, allows the plant to come forth, and that's the seam you want to follow when you separate the two halves. You don't want to make a different line other than its natural break. So I'm just going to work that, jiggling it back and forth across that seam until it breaks free. And then they're atypical, so you may have one side that's fatter and thicker than the other. And then you can just decide what kind of piece of jewelry you want to make with it. And I tend, because it's concave in the middle, I like it to lay flat. So I will skim that bottom edge and make sure it lays down flat on a table, because you want it to lay flat against your chest or your wrist. A little coffee, and we'll be ready to go. So these are some of the woodworking tools. I use Dremel drills and different drill bits like a dentist would use to do fine work. Mostly I do everything by hand. I use this if I want to ream the underneath side to make a bowl, a little incense cup, those types of things. So now I'm just going to flatten out the bottom half. I'll just use a paring knife and just skim that flush, and then just make sure it lays flat. You see the ring around the edge, and then it's smooth on the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make a ridge all the way around the edge, leaving about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch perimeter around the underside, and then I'll begin hollowing out within the center of that diameter. So I'm just going to work a ridge line all the way around, and by removing a little bit of body from underneath, it helps the seed to dry faster, and I just have more success by removing a little bit of the center underneath side. And avocado seeds, if you keep them refrigerated, that's like a jicama. It's a dense apple-like. It's very malleable for cutting and making different designs in there. It's very easy to work with. See how I've done that? I've just hollowed that out slightly, and then I like to put my signature in there, so I will do WDS for my business name, and that's just a little engraving pen that I'm using, and it spins just like a drill bit would. And I like to brush the matter away with a little toothbrush so that I can see the detail that I've made. And now we'll begin the carving. So I just look at the seed and I follow its natural design. So I don't try to make it perfect in shape. I like it to look exactly the way it does in the natural. So everyone's unique and beautiful. Just let the seed shine. And so the pointed end I tend to put to the top, and then I work my way around to the bottom. And I think with this one, I'm going to go ahead and make a flower out of this. And I'm going to start and make a hole in the middle. And then I'm going to put a beautiful Swarovski crystal in there. And that'll be real pretty. See all those colors? And we'll pop that down in the middle. And what's good is when it's raw like this, it's more in a swollen state. So once I ream that hole out and put that gemstone in it, as it dries, it's going to shrink up as it dehydrates, and it's going to become a setting for that stone, and that stone will be permanent in there without having to use any glue or chemicals. And that's how you make it all natural. So I'll just press that down in there. And then we'll begin carving our flower design. And really, you can do anything that comes to your mind. There's no right or wrong. Any design that you want to create. You can make swirls and snail shell, tortoise shell, sea turtle. I mean, you can do anything that you want with this. I do so many different designs, and I inset a lot of different stones and beads and really unique things. I have a Tree of Life one that I love, and you know, whatever you want it to look like. So now I'm just going to begin carving that flower pattern here, and then I will show you that as soon as I get through that. We'll speed through this. This is very therapeutic. It's almost like knitting. It's just such a fun thing to do. It's a neat little craft that you can do, super cheap, the price of an avocado, and a few woodworking tools. You don't need anything electric for this. It can all be done by hand. You could use a paring knife, toothpicks, anything that you have that you can make lines and indents. It really doesn't take any time to carve. It really depends on how detailed you want. There you go. And sometimes it takes 15 minutes, sometimes it could take 30 minutes or an hour, just depends on how intricate you get your design. And this is going to be the hook that I'm going to just measure to make sure it doesn't go all the way through the edge, so I'll trim off what I don't need. And then I just start pressing that right down into the top there, all the way through, almost to the bottom. And again, when this dries, it will hold that hook securely, and you'll be able to hang it from a string. So isn't that beautiful? We'll put it right there. About that length will be nice. And I like to make usually a sliding knot, excuse me, for the string. That way anybody can make it whatever length they would like. Okay, and now we'll start with the other half. And I sold one that I really loved that had a bunch of dips, all different size divots in it, and it was really pretty. And I think I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to put a bunch of stones throughout the divots. And so these are really simple. You just make some little round circles with the wood carving tool and pop them out. And we're going to work on the bottom here so I can get my signature on there. Okay. This just helps me ream that out a little bit faster on the underneath side. So simple. Okay, now we'll put our initials in there and we'll begin the carving. And I use 2 different size tools to make large divots and then small divots. And then I have stones that will fit each one of those sizes, so I'll just sporadically place those. and there'll be different colors and catch the light really beautifully. And these will tend to darken up as they dry. Now you can put some lemon juice or maybe some citric acid, and you can help encourage it from oxidizing, and it'll be a little bit brighter. Or you can let it just dry on its own and it'll get really rich and dark. And I always put a little bit of linseed oil on it, and then I put it out in the sun for about 3 to 4 weeks. And then I will bring them in and I'll polish them with a beautiful beeswax and buff them up, shine them up, and then they'll be ready to wear. Now, these are not waterproof, so you don't want to wear them swimming and in the shower. They're water resistant because of the beeswax, but if you want to keep them for a really long time, you just don't want to get them wet. Store them in a dry place, and they'll be good for years and years and years. It's almost like a petrified wood. So we're just placing some of those beautiful stones. I love to make a lot of Aztec designs in these as well. I do swirl patterns. Sometimes I make leaf patterns. And a lot of times I'll just get notebooks and I'll draw the shape of a seed and I'll fill it in according to my imagination. And then when I'm ready to carve, I just pull out that template and I just follow the design. And I like to make suns and moons and just really unique things. So I just measure the length that I need for the hook so that it doesn't push all the way through and come out the other side. See, the stones are all in here, and I put a lava stone in the center, and that you can put essential oils on, and that'll darken up to a nice, deep, rich, dark honey look. It's going to be super pretty. So, isn't that gorgeous? Just love it. And it will shrink in size as well. It won't be quite this large, but as it shrinks, as I said, it's going to hold all of those stones in beautifully, and they're not going to come out. And there's the flower. So how easy is that? And in some parts of the world they make these and they sell them anywhere from $40 to $80 a piece. So it's a good business to have. So with that, thanks for requesting for me to make this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.